Oh,
What's
hello.
up, everybody?
Yeah, go ahead and intro us in.
You were typing. I don't want to interrupt you.
And Che was talking about scratching windows, and I scratched a window today, but it wasn't actually scratching a window. It was that I went to this job, and they had their tent removed from the front windows in a new location, and the people who removed the tent didn't remove the glue, so all the glue made like the outside seem like plexiglass.
Yeah.
So like I was like testing it, and I went like this with my scraper, and it just like long scratches like right into the thing. And I was like, I looked at the guy, I was like, dude, your windows are like screwed. Like there's no getting this back. I'm not restoring them. I'm not removing this adhesive. I'm not doing any of this. You need to call the people who rented this place to you and get them to take care of it. He's like, we took it as is. And I was like, well, good luck. Like you're pretty screwed. Like unless you really care or not.
Admit it. Did you pucker a little bit?
No, I didn't even. I was right away like, yeah, man, your windows are just like totally done. Like I'm not restoring them. I'm not going to be doing this. Like I'll clean them for $50 every time. It was like 15 windows. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, like there's no way that I'm going to be here for days, like scraping and using all kinds of stuff. And I was like, I actually do not have the time.
And I don't even want to charge you because I would feel bad charging you the like $32,000 I need to charge you.
Yep, exactly. I told him, I was like, I will be here for days. And I was like, I'm going to charge you $300 an hour. Like that will be the flat rate an hour that I'll be spending on this. And there's no way I'm doing it any other way. He's really cool. I've done his windows for a long time at another location. And then he just bought this location. And then we had it scheduled for like 2 months. And then I got there and I was like, dang, man. I was like, that just sucks. Yeah. But it is what it is. 'Tis the season.
It's worse when somebody's like, yeah, okay, fine, do it. And you're like, ah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the worst part. Yeah. We had, when I used to work with Jim, there was a job where somebody was redoing the inside of a bank and they put like a white film on the front of all the windows. And Jim walked in there one day. He was thinking, all right, man, like 2 hours to take all this stuff off. First time I ever went to a convention, this was in Atlanta. He called me like right in the middle of the convention. He's like, dude, guess what? I'm having to reschedule every job right now because we're still at that job. And it was like 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And I know they start at 8. So when I came back from the convention, I had to go down there and I just took my razor and just did an X through every window and like just got it done within like a couple hours. But it was a mess. It was horrible. Yeah. So fun story to start out Monday night chat live with. Yeah. Monday night live chat. Screwed up the name.
That's okay. By the way, I want to say hi to a bunch of people. I don't even want to say hi to We Are One because he's so wrong. He's just putting this 2-clip, this malarkey out there all over the place. Hashtag 1-clip. SteveO actually has come out publicly and denounced 2 clips. He said he is now 1-clip exclusive. What's up to Glass Monkey? What's up to Levi S? Che, of course, is here. KD, the WC, is here. Nick Stafford, what's up? It's Kev Dog is here. Sanderson Pro Wash, Antonio Howell. There's just so many people here. If you're here, comment, say hello. Steve is getting a blizzard tomorrow, so tell him how nice your weather is, just so you know.
Yeah, Colorado. Oh, Colorado. Oh, I had a good question from Facebook when I posted. Let me grab this question because it's a good question of a recent product that came out, and there needs to be some answers to this. We gotta know why.
Do you need to edit this? Is this going to be one of those SteveO rants on a product that ends up getting like people angry?
No, I hope not. But Chris Simmons asked, we got to know why there's no lid for the new Unger bucket. And there's no lid for the new Unger bucket. I would guess the reason is that bucket is not technically, I think, made for actual like window cleaners.
Yeah. It's a weird size. Like
it's
that
a really weird size.
I don't know. Do you use a sieve? Nobody uses a sieve, right?
I don't use a sieve. I don't use the hooks. I just have my lid. I switched to the Unger Pro bucket along like a while ago just because it was like it has the biggest opening of any of those buckets that are out there. So when I started using the Maker mops, they were just a little bit bigger for the Poolex buckets. So I started using those and it just fitted nicely. And I like the handle a little bit better.
Would you say that you prefer like a bigger opening?
Yeah. Yep. As big of an opening as possible. That's what I like. Yep.
I heard
And
you,
then,
you're working with that bigger T-bar. That's why.
yep, exactly. You know, gotta make sure the whole thing gets in one time. So
You know what it is? It's like it's an Unger thing though. Like when the bucket came out, like and the sieve like sits in the thing, and it's like it does look cool, but it's like so pointless.
yeah. And to me, like, I guess some people, if you fill up at every job, that could be good. Like if you do residential all the time, I guess you could be a nice bucket. It could be lighter. But I have always used like a 5 or 6 gallon bucket or like the Home Depot buckets when I started. And I just don't see the reasoning. And I think that's why they didn't make a lid. But hey, maybe us talking about it will get them to make a lid.
That's right. If they cared. Here's the thing. If you are watching right now, go ahead and comment one of these 2 words, either round for round bucket or rectangle for rectangle bucket. I would like to see how many people are actually using one or the other because I hate round buckets. That'll be the whole 1 clip, 2 clip thing. I don't know about you, but I just give me just like a normal rectangle bucket where I can just dunk it in real quick and then put it in my bucket on a belt and just go. Like,
yeah, I used to be like a round bucket, but that was just, I didn't know better. Like I never had anybody give me a 5 gallon bucket. So I used spray bottles. That was the first thing I ever used, but I also had like a 10-inch mop and a 12-inch squeegee for 2 years. That was it. Dang. My first 2 years cleaning windows. I was the worst window cleaner in the entire country at that point. But then when I switched to rectangular buckets, yeah, it was like a whole new world opened.
Dude, I got like jacked up hands from, you've probably seen them like if we've done something, but like I got like bad hands. So for me to like dunk a thing in there and then like wring it off is like awful. To get my hands wet and dry and wet and dry and wet and dry makes them even worse. So I could never do that. That's like a rectangle bucket. And then I wring it off in the corner of the bucket and that's it.
Yeah. I always wring it off with my squeegee and feel cool, So cool. Go everywhere. It's pretty cool. Hey, I have a really good question here from Sanderson Pro Wash. In all seriousness, have you guys ever heard of a company cleaning windows, let's say in Wisconsin half the year and Arizona half the year? Have you ever seen or heard of someone that has done this? Yes. I bet you've known many too. But I know many people that clean up in the north during the summer, late spring, early fall. And then we'll go down to like Florida, have clients down there. I know people that there's actually a lot of people more that do this that I don't even know. I know a guy though that travels all around for high rise. They just get contracts everywhere. There's a lot more traveling like window cleaners. I don't know a lot of them than I think we even know about though.
Yeah, I bet. Well, back in the day, what used to be, I used to hear this like, I forget how they called it, a working vacation. I think this actually was worded, but they would just go and like take their stuff, put it in a car, and they would drive like 8 hours and like stop at a motel and be like, hey, I'll clean your windows if I could stay here tonight. And they would like do that. And that's how they would like travel and do their vacation. They would just like go around and like go eat a sandwich somewhere because they'd clean some little storefront windows. And like, that was just like their fun. Like I've heard of that. That was like way before. I don't know that you could do that anymore.
Yeah. Jay asked, does it fit an 18-inch mop? No, that 3 gallon bucket doesn't. Sorry, I went back a little bit. But real quickly, KD asked, do the rectangular ones fit a 22-inch wand? No, not in one dunk. You have to like teeter-totter it and then teeter-totter the other side.
Yeah. 18 is like the biggest size that to me makes sense because that like in a standard bucket fits 18. Like it doesn't have to be small. There's no technique. You just can dunk it, go, you're on, 22s too don't fit in like buckets on a belt very well. Like the bigger you get, start like hitting you in the bottom of the arm and just doesn't work right.
I almost think where like a 22-inch or a 30-inch or like a 36 inch is nice is when you're like a team of 2 and like one is mopping, one is squeegeeing, and you have a bunch of large commercial glass. Like that's the only time I've ever done that. I used to rock a 22 for commercial, but it just got heavy. And then, I mean, what I would like to know in the comments is, would everybody like a rectangular bucket that fit a 22-inch in one dunk? Because it would be big. Like that's the thing you got to think about. It would be large to like store. It's going to be heavy, but of course you could just put half the water in. But I would be very interested to know if that would be a thing that would be wanted in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like interesting. People ask why the 6 gallon bucket thing. Nobody's ever filled up their bucket all the way. Like I mean, you fill it halfway so it doesn't splash all over. So that's why they're taller anyway. So it's like half the bucket, you know. I mean, you could still fit probably a 6-gallon bucket, but a little bit wider, I guess.
Right. Yeah, you could. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I feel like those, like the current 6-gallon buckets are just perfect, you know? Yeah. Let's see here. Andy asked, oh, this is a great question for you, Josh. When it comes to tips, do you mention it when you are getting the payment or just leave it to the client?
Ooh. So, yes, that's a great question. I don't ever bring up tips, and none of my guys ever brought up tips.
Yeah.
We just we had our spiel, and the spiel ended with, hey, so if you have a check at the end, we'll collect that payment from you. Just go ahead, put that in the envelope, close it up, and that goes right back to the office. So
yeah,
it's just, they know that comes to the office, and anything else above and beyond kind of comes to you. I guess I think sometimes you don't need to say things. Like, it doesn't, like, you don't need to bring it up. Like, hey, we do a great job. Make sure to tip us. Like, that just seems kind of pompous to me.
Yep. I feel the exact same way, in that if they feel the want to do it, yes. I remember when I started working with Jim, even when people would hand a tip, he'd be like, you don't have to do that. Like, I pay my guys well. Like, you really don't ever have to feel like you do that. Of course, they would still do it. Of course, you'd accept it. But it was always a thing of like, hey, we make sure like these guys are paid well. But I mean, it's nice to get tips. It's very, very nice to get tips, especially before lunch or just something like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice. But yeah, I would never ever ask for them or have like a sign on the car like, oh, we accept tips, or have it on the
unspoken. Doesn't need to be said.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what's funny though? It comes up so much more as far as now Starbucks. Like, every time you get a coffee, boom, right on there. You want to leave a tip? Like, a tip is asked for every single thing now. That's
garbage. Here's the funny thing. I saw like a TikTok or something, but it said, as soon as I walk up and it's an iPad cash register, I know I'm going to tip for something I've never tipped for before.
and they make it hard to like figure out how to move on from that screen.
Yeah.
Like, and then if you make a mistake, the person comes up and goes, oh, let me fix that for you. And you're back to the screen about the tip. Like, damn it.
Did you ever see that South Park?
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like Whole Foods or whatever. Like, oh, you don't want to donate anything? Okay, just go ahead and grab the food out of the little girl's mouth, and that'll cancel it. That's what I feel like. I feel like that every time, like, somebody just, I don't know. I'm a big fan of the shameless plugs in my world of just telling people I'm a sales rep. But like, I don't like, as far as tips go, I feel like that's
right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Like, what if we said, hey, will you put your order in through us? And by the way, will you donate to me through my...
And if you want to tip me...
Yeah. If you want to add a little extra on there. Yeah. But honestly, though, I always found that tips came a lot when I worked alone. When Alex worked with us, my gosh, we got tons of tips. That was just crazy. We almost got a tip every day from homes when Alex was working with me. So it's very nice having a lady with you, because they can really talk up the customer.
Have you ever thought about wearing some of her clothes to the job and like maybe cutting it a little lower or something? I mean,
tried it once. Wasn't a good time. Nope.
Maybe if you cut your hair every now and then, they'd tip you a little more. That's why you get
you sure have a lot of armpit hair.
It's not working like I thought.
Not good. Let me hear in the comments, how often do you get tips? Like, if you were to say out of a 5-day week, how many days out of that week averagely will you get at least one tip a day?
Resi jobs only. Like, how many, like, if you do 5 jobs in a day, how many of those jobs would tip? That's an interesting one. Because I never took tips and never collected tips. Like, if anybody tipped me, I would give it to the crew chief if I was like on the job with them, and then they would split it up. Like, I never took, like, that wasn't for me to take. So I just didn't really, I mean, some of the new guys would tell me, you know, like, kind of like, oh my gosh, but I didn't know how much they really got.
I would say that one of the best tips I ever received was I was cleaning a home on Christmas Eve, outside only, during a blizzard, because the people just really wanted their windows cleaned. And the guy came out at the very end and just handed me like $100 bill. And he was like, Merry Christmas. And I'll always remember, it was like over a decade ago when it happened. But for me, I just always remember, because it was such shitty conditions. And I was just like,
yeah,
this like really sucks. Like, why am I doing this? And then he handed me that. I was like, this is why. This is why.
This is I had a guy one time who wanted to tip me and 2 other dudes in a to drive us around in his like Lamborghini. That was like,
wow.
he wanted to give them as a tip. And the other guys like did it. I was like, oh, I'm leaving, but they like went for a ride in his car. That was like,
that's a little weird.
It was weird. I was like, I don't like. I mean, it's cool that my tip is hanging out with you, but I don't really like that.
Yeah. Well, that's a great question, though. Tips, we don't really talk about them much in window cleaning just because, usually the hourly can be pretty good, but yeah, it's not something, a lot talked about, but I do think it's pretty consistently happens.
Yeah. You know what I think the best tip is when somebody tips you in like a home baked something.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you go and all of a sudden you're like halfway through and you're like, do I smell brownies? And you're like, oh, it's coming. We're getting cookies.
Yep. Cookies. That's the greatest. Sanderson Proash asked, what would be the legal way to do business while traveling like that? Ooh, that's a super good question. I don't know the answer. What is the answer to that? You may know this.
Say the question again. I'm trying to
read. So basically,
if
you were traveling to different states doing business, what does that look like as far as like how does your business structured?
Well, I think that at that point, it's not the business doing it, it's you doing it. So if somebody pays you under a certain dollar amount, I think it's like $6.99, it might actually change, and they don't have to technically collect. And it's like not, it's like if I went over to your house and you're like, hey, dude, man, I need some help painting. I'll throw you $100. Like it's not a business thing at that point, But
yeah,
I think this is also back in the day. I haven't heard of somebody doing that in like a really long time. This is like the day of the Gary Maurer picnic when it was like, kind of underground, but I don't know. I don't think there was a technical way.
Yeah.
Here's something for everybody and you included with the tips. How do you do that legally?
Oh, tips? I hope they're cash.
Do you just I'll just hold them in my pocket.
Yeah. For sure. 100%. You know what? I don't know if we should get into the subject on this channel, but to me,
IRS. Oh no, I'm doing this real. Somebody just walked in.
To me, man, we pay enough taxes, man. It's like, come on.
You know why taxes are so high is because there are a lot of people who just like scam the system, and everybody else is paying for it.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, no tips if it's cash.
Who pays? If you're watching, tell me if you pay tax on your tips. I want to know who claims their tips. There's got to be somebody else. I bet you Che does. He seems like he's like
he's a good guy.
Like pointy edge, straight edge kind of. Yeah. Like
I know some people that 100% report every single penny. To me, I paranoia, but
I did when it came to every single dollar I made, I reported. Tips, I didn't, like I said, I didn't collect tips, so I didn't see what was happening. That was on them. But if somebody paid me cash on a route job, I would put that in, like always. But everybody's like, well, because you really just, but really what it was that I like numbers and I like to track my growth as a business. So if I didn't put them in, then I wasn't really tracking like my numbers and my growth. So I just took the hit on it.
Yes. I was just reading a comment that TJ put about Jacob.
Okay.
This is a great question from It's Kev Dog. On rain days or days you can't do work, what things would you suggest to work on or to stay busy? Depending on what you do, if you do residential or commercial, or if you're building a route, you could build your route on those rainy days.
Just read the comment. Sorry. Keep going.
Yep. Or let's see. You could, there's so many things you could do. It just depends on what your business structure is. But like if you're in a dead time, you could try to market. You could try to get marketing materials together. Like pretty much you can always find something every single day to be working on with your business. Also, a very good thing to do on rainy days, if it's not too raining, is a rain guarantee that we still cleaned in the rain. There was no way for us in the summertime, with as busy of our schedule was, it was to stop for the rain. typically though in Colorado, a rainstorm could be 20 minutes and you could be back to work. Like,
and then the whole day's shot because you're like, well, there's rain in the forecast, and it comes in, hits you, and goes away.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many times where that says it. Yeah, exactly. And it's gone quickly where you can get back out there and do it. Or what we would do sometimes is do the insides. Like if you had inside work that you could go do, maybe try to call that client and push that up to today. And so those are all things you can do, but you could always find something. Always.
Yeah. It's like internet stuff. My big thing was always like, if I could just do it, like I'm going to be working on my print stuff and getting my EDDM ready, and I'm going to get my SEO work done, or my website stuff done, and all that stuff done. That was all, it really just made a lot of sense to do it that way. But that's also different when it's pre-spring and it rains. You don't like have a ton maybe to do, but like when it's middle of spring and you're like, dude, I've been so busy, I haven't been able to do XYZ. It makes sense. Yeah. It was also nice to have when I finally had like an actual physical shop location, because then the guys would sit around and we'd watch the rain because it downpour for a minute, and they're like sweeping or washing trucks or something, and then they just go get back in the trucks and leave after the rain is done. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. We are one pressure washing. That's another good question. Other than a 7-day rain guarantee, what would another USP be for Windows?
Ooh, I love USP. All right, I like We Are One again. The interesting thing about a USP is literally in the name, but what makes you unique? Like, I love asking the question, and it makes me sad because every time I do in the podcast that I do, I always say, hey, in the comments, tell me what your USP is. And if you guys are watching now and you really want to nerd out, I know, Steve, you love the business side of things, but tell me what makes you unique, and watch the answers that come in. Now that nobody's going to answer because I'm going to say this, but the answers are going to come in and they're going to be like, I'm just like the nicest guy. And it's like, I bet the other guys are nice. Like, oh, I clean windows. Like, we have 100% satisfaction guarantee. I bet the other guys do. That doesn't make you unique. So the interesting part is what makes you unique. And it could be a lot of things.
Yeah. What was your main thing?
Man, so ours was, we were the only one in the entire area that had a rain guarantee. This is like way back when. And our guarantees kind of put everything out there. And our big thing was, if you're not happy, you don't pay a dime. And everybody's like, well, what happens? Well, then you just make them happy. Like it's there because I want somebody to feel comfortable, but yet with our guarantees, and we have this and we have this. And our USP was to have all of those things at one time in order to make somebody feel really comfortable. And when you put it together against you and the next guy, if me and Jacob are staying there, right? And Jacob has one thing that makes himself better than me, then it doesn't make sense of why. Then we're not going apples to apples. It's like, well, of course I'm going to hire Jacob. He's better than Jersey. Like that's a USP.
Yes. Well, ours was we were the best. So onwards.
Remember what I said? No.
We were so kind to everybody. Like, people just loved us. We just got along with everybody. It was just great.
I'm gonna not upset people by it, because we don't have to talk about this a long time, but I want to say something.
What?
Not Kev Doug's cheapest in town. We're not gonna go that one, but let's go with Shay's. Insured, timely, professional, friendly customer service, and easy booking. I have a question. Is any other company in your area those things? Right? So that's what makes you that unique thing, where those are awesome qualities. It really is. And if you've met Che like at all, he's like a super rad dude. All of that's 100% true. Yeah, super buff too. But what makes you unique means that somebody else does not have that. And that's why the USP is so hard. It's so hard. But when somebody has a real USP and it's really dialed in, nobody can argue it. Sorry, we don't have to talk business. We go back.
No, it's good. No, it's great. It's great. It's good stuff. It's really, really good.
By the way, if you guys didn't know this, Steve likes to be the, hey, here's how you do this thing. And I'm like, hey, here's how you run this thing. We're like complete opposites, and that's why it kind of works with content.
Yeah. Like, I think the thing with business is I talk about it a lot with people off of YouTube, with like my experiences. But ever being like a business kind of like coach, I just don't know if I could ever. It just, in my own mind, I'm like, man, like I I enjoy the equipment. Like I enjoy the different modifications. I enjoy the ways that we can make it work with other things. And that's my thing. That is my thing.
I like the business of it. That's why like coaching works. Why I could do that is because I could take those ideas and go, hey, here's the business. How can we make the business like, and then we go back to like the how to. I like the gear, but I knew from the very beginning of window cleaning that I didn't want to like be a tech. And there's people like you are like, even if I had 50 employees, you'd still be in the field. Like literally you would be.
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, do you want to stay home today? Because there's a house that I really like doing. And you know, like
right.
like it's super hard for me to think about like letting go of my window cleaning business, even though it's gonna be 100% fine. It's super mentally like it's really
super
hard.
Enjoyable to you though.
Yeah.
Like
it's exactly.
It's
just
why
I like getting out there and doing it, you know.
Yeah.
So Tim says, I need a squeegee tattoo. Funny story. I went to my tattoo artist many years ago and said, I want a window cleaning tattoo, and he denied me. He said, I will not do this.
But he did a unicorn on your leg, which is pretty crazy that he would do the unicorn, but not
freaking horse. But I did have many years ago when I first got it, a girl came up to me in the gym. She goes, Is that like a unicorn on fire? I said, damn it. Damn it. Why?
So good.
Why?
So as soon as you told me that, that's all I think about now when I think about your tattoos is your unicorn. I don't even think it looks like a unicorn, but that would just ruin the fun for me if I really said that out loud.
Yeah. Veteran-owned businesses, though, that could definitely be a great USP, I think. Yeah, people definitely on that one.
That's the other thing, too, is if you don't have the USP that's specific, even if it's casually specific, you can stack those things so then all of a sudden your value overshadows your USP.
Now, what are the things about a business, though, that you cannot put out there like that, right, as a unique selling point that are very important at the job? Like Sanderson made a good point in the ending of what he said. It said, be able to talk. I always kind of preach this as far as being able to be personable, because I have met so many window cleaners who walk into a home and don't speak a word, or don't know how to talk whatsoever. They could bid like anybody else, but once it actually comes down to the conversation between the customer and them, it is nothing. I definitely have had days where like I know I'm pushed for time, so I say to the customer like, just so you know, I kind of have like a long day. I'm going to be kind of quiet because I just have to like get through it. But man, if I had time, I was always like headphones out and just talking with the customer.
Well, and that's an experience. So because we're a luxury in general, that experience is there. So you being awesome is the experience. 100%, that works. That may not be why you choose, if you're standing there and Joe Schmo's standing next to you, why somebody would choose you over them, because you can't translate, I'm a really nice guy. But when you're on the job and you impress them with how awesome you are, and you take your shoes off and you respect them, and you're doing this great work, but yet you have this kid and this story and that is all in the experience, and that makes you awesome. But when somebody says, this is why people hire me, they don't hire you because of that. They find that out later and they keep that. And that's why they have repeat, right? Marketing is what gets you the first job, but your value is what, your experience is what gets you a repeat job. So,
yeah. I thought this was a good question from Kev Dog. I know Jersey won't like this, but is being a one-man team a good USP? They only have to deal with one person. I'm going to tell you from my honest experience, because you correct me, but you didn't spend a long time as a solo operation, one job, right?
I did do a whole job, but it was a whole job.
A whole job. Yep. I'm going to tell you why that being a single window cleaner is not a unique selling point. In my own opinion of being that, and that you have to be restrictive on the jobs that you do. And some other people are going to disagree with me, and that's totally fine, because there is a lot of owner-operated window cleaners. But there are certain jobs that you cannot do for some customers who want it done in an orderly fashion. You can't walk into a large home and have that done in 2 hours. You are going to have to take 5 to 6 hours, where if you go in there with a 3-man crew and you're extremely efficient, you could be doing 6 or 7 of those homes in a day. 6 or 7 might be a little high, but at least like 4 to 5. So it is good in that a good selling point of it is all you have to deal with is me. I will be the one cleaning your windows. But I think the one element that's not great is it's going to take me a long time. to do your windows. I'm going to be here for a good part of the day. You may have to leave to an appointment and I'm going to have to stay in your house. You may have to give me your garage code. So I'm going to have to do that. There's a lot of companies out there where when they have a bunch of employees, they don't have to do that. And I've been a part of it. And I hate that part of my business right now. 100% honesty. I hate that when I go somewhere, I can't say to the person, we'll have it done in 2 hours for a job that's, $800. I really don't like that. And that's my own personal thing, because I think I've been there where it's been so efficient with 3 people that we can just like run through a day and just be at job after job after job. Yeah. But like the only USP about that is that you only have to deal with me. But the other downsides is that I'm going to be here for a while. And so if they are looking at their schedule and they say, I really need to have my windows cleaned by Thursday, it's Monday, you can't fit it in, boom, they hired another company. So those are some of the things to think about, in that you kind of want to grow to at least, I think at least like a 3-man crew or a 5-man crew to really start being efficient and being able to fit in the people with needs as far as getting them in quickly into the schedule. I think that is I think a lot of us like owner operators who just work on our own kind of miss out on. And then we kind of don't see that, and we don't see it because no longer are those people calling us. That's my rant.
Yeah, no, I look at it like this. If you hired another company, it depends on the company and the experience. And if it's a single person, like if you hired a company and one person shows up and it's only one person doing it, there's a lot of things you don't necessarily only think that it's quality. It's like, oh, he's the owner. His course could be quality. Like you think like there's a lot of other things that kind of go with it. So I don't necessarily think that's a USP, but I don't think that necessarily has to be a bad thing. You can word it differently too. You could say, instead of saying, hey, I'm a one-man show, you could say, hey, I have, the owner's pride in my work, or something along those lines. But
I'll tell you what is something nice though about being a single man operation. I had a job the other day where I got there, and it's jobs that I get from a real estate agent, and she knows my pricing, but she doesn't really tell the customer. So every time I get to the home, it's the first time I've seen the home and I'm doing the job right then and there. And so I always say to the customer, hey, let me give you a quote before we just like start the job, because we have never met. You don't know what I charge, blah, 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 blah. I go to her and I say, okay, the amount is $560. Her eyes just are like huge, but she's getting pictures taken the next day, like of her home. Like her windows are nasty. Like she needs this to happen. So right away I saw that, she wasn't really liking the price. But what's nice thing as like an owner operators, right away you can say, okay, like, what would I be happy to make? I don't have any employees that I kind of have to deal with. So I could cut this down. Right away, I said, okay, we don't have to do the works. Like we can make everything look good for the pictures for this price. Boom, the job was saved. She was happy. It wasn't like this, long process of trying to figure out what price we're both going to be happy at. That's where the nice part is about being just an owner operator, is that like you can just make the decision right then and there if it's all on your own. Where when you have employees, though, it's a little harder to say that, because you're looking at like, okay, well, if I have 3 guys here, are we going to be able to make the hourly rate to actually make money on it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's both ways. There's pros and cons to both of them. For sure. One of the things that just came up, which I know we take comments out when you guys ask things and questions, we put them in there. So please ask away. I'm going to jump over one though, but I saw something that's my favorite conversation ever. And it is by We Are One Again. But he said, which is more important, customer service and satisfaction, or giving the best experience? And I'll tell you 1000% the truth is it's the customer experience, not the satisfaction. Because every time I say that, people go, yeah. If you go and like, make their windows dirty, then they're not. Well, of course, if you do crappy work, that's not what I'm talking about. But here's the thing. There are still people who will go wait in line for the newest Apple iPhone that have last year's model, that they get the new phone and it's the exact same thing, except for it goes a Newton millimeter faster. And not one of those people that are in line are 100% happy with everything Apple's ever done ever. There's not a thing that has ever been out there that somebody's 100% happy about every single time. A lot of the people watching love WCR. We're the greatest company ever. But yet they've not made you 100% happy. Maybe we didn't have the squeegee channel in stock. Maybe we didn't do whatever. Maybe you don't like, whatever. But yet you still like us as a whole. It's because the experience that we provide. It's the experience that you provide as cleaning people's windows. And that's what gets people to call you back. 100%. Because again, 90% is 100% when it comes to satisfaction.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree, because if you think of the things that we enjoy in life, or the things that are the most predominant, as far as brands, it's always about the experience. And we could go on about it forever, but I 100% agree that it is about the overall experience from start till done, that it's, really good. Not just about, I used to be so dumb, like back in the day, like I used to think about, oh my God, I just have to look like the coolest window cleaner. I really thought that, like when I first started window cleaning, like my mind wasn't in the business part at all, and it was not the part, like we all post videos on Instagram, right, of us like squeegee window. That's just because we enjoy the action of what we do. Like that's the way I look at it. It's not showing off. We've all had show and tell in elementary school. It's not that. It's just that we literally enjoy what we're doing. So yeah, I 100% agree. It's a great way to look at it.
I had an interesting thing one time. We had like this party thing across the street. I live in a subdivision, and our clubhouse is kind of across the street. Anyway, the mayor was there, right? Apparently that's a big thing, the mayor. A guy who owns a soft washing company here brought his entire truck with all his stuff to show the mayor his new thing. And he brought it there and made it publicly known in the neighborhood that he would be there if anybody wants to see his equipment. No one cares. You care because you knew what the equipment was, but everybody's like, did you get my house clean? I don't want to see your state-of-the-art equipment. No one cares. No one cares. He literally brought the mayor over there like the mayor was going to be like, wow, this stuff is great. Whatever mayors do.
That's what they do. It is so true, though. And that, like, anytime I've ever said to the customer, hey, I'm going to use water-fed pull on your windows, usually they're like, you know what? Just get it done. I just want
the soap. That's the question. That's
great. Awesome.
Well, cool. Actually, the reverse osmosis membrane is a monofilament with you can't go into it. They're going to be like, so.
I always say to them, at your car, at the car wash, when you go through and it says like spot free rinse, something like that. Let's keep going.
That's it. Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. They're usually happy about it.
That's why things have fancy words for dumb things to dumb it down. So that people are like, oh, you have the extreme shine? Yeah, no one tells you the chemical composition. No one cares. They just care that, it's the extreme shine with an X instead of an EX.
Yeah. What am I doing? I'm trying to put a comment. Read one of these questions we got here. What do we got?
Yeah, I'll jump back real quick. Vegas Collector, how often would you have a customer not having it? So, like, when you're talking to a customer, how often do you have people just not really having it? And I'll tell you, if you're a people person, by the way, I don't know what's going on with your internet today, but you're just like, you're like blurry all over the place. I don't know.
It does show me a low signal. So, and I see it here on YouTube too. It's been weird the past couple of days.
Yeah, listen to what he says, not what he says. Sees, I guess. But yeah, if you're a people person, you can tell out right away if somebody is like giving it back to you or they're just not. So if they're not, then that's cool. I'll be quiet. Like, cool. Well, I'll get to work, and if you got any questions, let me know.
Yeah. There's definitely customers that I've had over the days where they do not want to have a single conversation with you. They want you in and out as quick as possible. That just happens. Yeah. This is a good one from Chris Thomas. Do you take notes about your customers for next year? Dogs' names, what they liked, and about you, blah, or whatever what they talked to you about. I don't personally write down notes, but I would have to say that I was always really good at, like, once we got to the job, I was always remember like some things about it, always that were like that we could talk about, but nothing too crazy really.
I did in the beginning until I realized it just got too far. And then you're not the same people come in there. It's hard to be like, hey, I've never met you before. Don't you have a son named Timmy who went to college? Like, then it becomes a little bit too much. So, but it is a good thing. I mean, to show people you care enough. Right. Again, the experience.
Yes, exactly. Somebody asked, Tim the window cleaner asked, J2 or Maker Mini? I am going to say the J2. Personally, that's just It's just my personal opinion because of the price point. And Maker Mini, you can have an 8 feet or 11 feet, but the J2 is 6 feet for $99. And I think that's a pretty good deal if you want a short pole. It's just my opinion. Yeah.
At that point too, carbon fiber and hybrid does not really much matter when they're that small.
I hear you on that one. RO question: low pressure membrane better or make a difference from membrane types? In my opinion, with window cleaning, in your opinion, when you have an RO membrane that their GPD gallons per day is 2,500, and that 2,500 can be achieved by 80 or 100 psi, does that make much of a difference in window cleaning?
Sort of. It all depends on what you're working with. If you're working with a pump, then it doesn't matter because your production is going to be as efficient as it can be anyway. But if you're not working with a pump, then yeah, I mean, it sure does. Especially if you're not on top of changing filters like you should be.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing right there. I mean, but the difference is it's not like that large though, where I would really like make that like your main point.
It's a paper difference. Yeah. There's like certain things like the Xero Atom produces less water than the Xero Pure on paper. But if you have the two next to each other, you really kind of can't tell, right? Yeah. It's the same concept there where if you add another 10 PSI, you kind of can't really tell.
Yeah, exactly. I had tons of questions coming in here. Did I miss any here from earlier?
I threw one in from Swagawagal.
Squagawaga is the gentleman who's a high-rise, and he has an amazing TikTok where he puts a camera like right here while he's doing his high-rise work, and it's awesome videos. Like if you haven't checked out his TikTok, you really should. It's just fun to watch, and he just bullshitting with his friends and talking to people on the phone while cleaning windows 20, 50 stories high. It's crazy. It's crazy to watch. He was on with Squeegee Life about maybe 4 weeks ago. It's a good episode.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you for coming on. Yeah. Let's see here. Ooh, Evan Stump. How do I politely and professionally tell a customer I don't want to do their windows again? House is a disaster with animal droppings everywhere and smells terrible. No price is good enough. Oh man, that sucks. Yeah.
You could say no. It's completely okay to say no.
Yeah.
I walked into a house one time and the lady had black garbage bags duct taped onto the inside of her windows.
Oh.
And as soon as I walked in, she's like, "Don't worry, I'll take them down." I said, "No, I'll pass because I'm not going to deal with that. I'm not."
That is going to take way too long.
I've been in a real life like TLC hoarder's house too. That was the grossest. I smelled the house when I was on the front stoop talking to the customer.
Wait, what?
I smelled the house when I was on the front stoop of the thing. I just smelled like stink, like body and like stuff stink. And as soon as we walked in, it was literally like I could not walk straight. I had to like turn sideways and like, I'm just going to pass. She's like, "Well, I know it's a little cluttered here. I'm just trying to get my life in." I'm like, don't start with me because if you can't care enough to even see the windows, you don't care enough to like, nothing I do is going to make this happy. Those are the only two like I didn't do because of them on as far as how dirty they messed up their house was.
Man, that is, I used to work for a moving company. We walked in a hoarder's house one time and I wasn't the lead guy. And he walked in front of me. We walked in the house and it was a similar situation. There's poop on the ground and stuff. And we literally walked out and he's like, "Yeah, we'll be right back in with our stuff." And we like watched the truck. I was like, "All right, man, we'll grab stuff." He goes, "Nope, just get in." He like started the truck and we just drove off. I'm like, "What are we doing?" He's like, "I'm calling the office and telling them we're not doing it." I was like, "It's probably best." Like we were going to get infections.
I've told you this story before, but one of the grossest things that I ever did was this was a fancy house, like fancy house. Everything was fancy. It had lots of paintings and like fancy. I moved the couch to get to the window and stepped in dog turd. Under the couch was like 70 dog turds from their little like fuzzball dog would go under the couch and take a deuce. And I moved the couch on the hardwood floor and it was like a perfect couch shape of just solid dog poop.
Oh man.
And I didn't even smell any of it until I stepped in it, and then it like broke the freshness.
Wow. That's horrible.
It was gross.
Evan's asking us though, I think, don't know how exactly handle the conversation of actually telling the customer. You could literally just say like,
I don't think we're a match. I don't think I'm the right person for this job.
Yeah. And that's it. Or, just put him in your phone as don't answer. I don't know. It's probably not good. It's probably not a good way to do it.
You're speaking like somebody with experience there. Let's see your
phone.
Experience.
No experience.
How many do not answers do you have on your?
No, zero.
Is that my number? Son of a.
Yep. All two of them. Oh man. Let's see here. Oh, Alex Try was asking a good question. I know Che answered it a little bit. So I love using Quad Zero's steel wool dry as a touch-up after the clean. But have you guys noticed that it doesn't glide on the glass when using water-fed pull? Oh, okay. So when clean tried, the steel wool glides on the glass. Huh.
That might be different jobs, different inside versus outside.
Yes, and
textures,
you can
hydrophobic, hydrophilic.
Yes, definitely. Is different window textures and stuff can have a very different feel. I was doing a video on this about like touching up with steel wool, and you can have one house where you touch it up, you can just do everything and like take the steel wool away, nothing there. You have a house where you just touch it and it just like scuffs and you just need to like rewash that part. Yeah. It's just all to do with the window. It just depends.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy too that, well, a lot of people find out, but the outside windows always have a different texture than the inside windows because they're always in the elements. So even if you don't see hard water, there's still minerals that are on that glass. So you always have a little bit of a rougher feel on the outside. I mean, if they're brand new, obviously not, but over time they get a little bit more of a rougher texture, if you will, on the outside anyway. You'll see it more with like Hawk says you use them too.
Yeah. I mean, I was reading this thing from Noah. I know the feeling on the trash bags. I'm a house cleaner now learning Windows. My first time doing Windows, my clients had weather stripped the screens onto the window. Took too long. I had a client where every single year they would repaint their storms into the, like from the exterior. They had their house painted every year and they would paint it every year. And then they would call us a month after and we'd have to recut the storms out. Oh man.
Dude, I remember we talked about, when you say like you throw a price out so that you don't get it and then you do get it and you're like, dang it. I had one, and I swear they had to have been a grow house, but it was this little old couple, and we show up, and we were like, all right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Me and this guy will be inside, and they're like, no, you can't do it from inside. We're like, we have to. You have little triple track storms. Like, we have to do it from the outside. No, you don't have to come inside. I said, we'd have to charge you like double to do it from the outside. They're like, that's fine, do that. I was like, I was just saying, like, hypothetically. We had to unscrew because these were the old aluminum sets that they put over the windows and then screwed them into the frame. We had to take a drill and unscrew the screws to pull the whole sets off. It was one of the absolute worst jobs ever, just so we didn't see their piles of heroin or whatever they had in their house.
Here, that's a common open thing.
But you can go in there. That's fine.
Come on in. You need a tip. Real quick question from Andy here. Do you guys charge a fee when you have to move a lot of objects that's in front of a window? Of course, one or two I wouldn't charge. I just always ask for the clients to move anything fragile, and then I'll move anything like heavy. And also I try to work around a lot of stuff, but no, I've never charged a fee.
You know how you can get around having to tell people like, hey, if you don't want me to break your stuff, move it. Tell people that no matter how hard I try, I don't have the cleanest hands because I clean dirt all day. So remove anything away so that I don't, get dirt on them. And then people are like, oh.
Josh has dirty hands.
Yeah, my dirty hands.
Yes. We are one pressure wash and got tons of questions. Got a call from a new build window cleaning and let them know that this cleaning would be considered construction cleaning. Windows would start at $18. Too much? Nope.
Too little.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. Yeah, you could do.
Unless you're talking about per pane $18, that's a little bit closer.
Yeah, but I charge 3 to 4 times the amount of my regular amount for construction. So
do you want me to go? Am I boring you or?
I'm tired.
I know, but truly, like you get paid for your time. Like it's just you translate time to what you're doing. So why step over dollars to make pennies? Like you could just not do that job and make more money doing a cookie cutter house.
Question from Michael in Australia. What do you guys think is a fair commission for my workers? Percentage.
Oh,
Percentages in window cleaning usually are typically around like 30 to 35 for employees. I think that's pretty fair. It's if your jobs are priced well, that can be pretty good pay. If your jobs are not priced well, it can be shitty pay. Really, really depends.
yeah. I think that as far as margins go, percentage is a better way anyway, because then that way, if like you lose, then your employee loses, then you're not going to have the employee, and it kind of comes back and forth. So I like the hourly still myself, just because I just feel like it's better. Like if I screw it up, then I'm going to know I screwed it up because now I'm paying a whole bunch of money, you know? Plus, I
Right.
feel like if I'm on the job, like I want to get paid to drive to a job. I want to get paid here and there. And like, I don't know.
Here's a good question about ammonia. Does ammonia make a better glide? I haven't tried it.
Is
Does
TJ
it?
still here to answer that question?
I don't think he is. I think they moved on.
Yeah,
TJ.
could see that.
I don't know.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
know about
haven't.
ammonia though. There's not really surfactants or silicas or anything really in more surfactants. There's none of that in ammonia, so I don't know that it would really help for the slide.
Yeah. I mean, if you want extra glide, you could do Winsol Super Slip or High Slide, a water additive basically to keep your water wetter longer, especially since we're coming on warmer months. That can be really, really helpful. But yeah, I'm not sure about it.
Yeah. Ammonia, I don't like using as like a residential guy, because on the inside, I'm going to jack up the frames, where ammonia is used more for like high rise stuff because it does awesome on spider webs, but they're also on like aluminum clad like frames all the time. Like they're not going to damage like stained wood like I would if I'm on the inside of a house.
Yeah. I think too, it's funny about like window cleaning solutions is over my career, I've thought that I've had like so many good window cleaning solutions, and all of a sudden you get another job and it's super sticky. And then you're like, this window cleaning solution sucks. You move on to a new window cleaning solution, you find out something else. And yeah.
I love the reinventing the wheel too. When people like you talk about people like, oh, are you just using Dawn or Glass Gleam? And they're like, well, I actually take a little Glass Gleam 6. You've never heard of it, but it's actually in the flooring industry. And then I take a little bit of a Zest soap. I take 2 sardines and the peel of an orange. And you're like, what? Like, it's the best out there. You should try it. Like, nah.
Real quickly, my favorite comment of the night, and it took until the last 5 minutes to be asked, is what's the Lejeune comment about? I got here late.
I just forgot about that.
Yeah. We basically our titles of these make no sense. Of like we always say something and that's never what talked about. So it's just random. Totally random.
And if
you if you guys have been here the whole show, please push the like button or smash it or do whatever you need to do.
Yeah. The kids are saying smash it, I think.
Smash.
By the way, if you don't know about the Lejeune things, that means you're not watching over the air TV, which is great.
Yeah, for the last like 3 years, like there's been warnings everywhere.
That guy right there, he's a Hulu, Netflix, YouTube guy. That's what's going on there.
For what?
For Kyle, that's why he doesn't know what the Camp Lejeune thing is.
Yep, exactly.
Dude, when
it's on the radio too, though. It's on the radio.
Is it really? Dude, when I go up to the land, I only can watch like we have like TV, like antenna. There's no cable. Everything's off grid. So I have to watch over the air stuff, and it's like Friday night, Saturday night, where it's like mesothelioma and like incontinence pills and like Humana Care Plus B with it. Like I know more about all that stuff now.
We have people in the comments who are stationed at Camp Lejeune.
Well,
you can make money.
If you were a loved one.
Yeah. The greatest post in pro window cleaning ever, and this is not like talking like the people. Yeah, okay, don't take this the wrong way. But someone put like a label on a Xero Pure and put Camp Lejeune.
Nice.
You shouldn't drink water out of a Xero Pure. It's great. It's great. If you don't ever know that, you should not drink. I had a back and forth conversation with someone this past week, and they did not believe me. The water out of any sort of purification system is non-potable. Like you shouldn't actually really drink it. You could still get the poops. So be careful.
Yeah. There's nothing like potable means that it knows it's clean. You don't know it's in a system. Like it could still be skeebies,
Yeah.
And what's interesting is, like Pirates of the Caribbean, where the guy like eats the apple and he can't he can never be full or whatever it is. drink RO water and you like never quench your thirst. There's nothing in it. You drink it all day long and you're still thirsty. It's like,
yeah,
it's like the
I used to do
invisible
it all the time too. DI water all the time. I was thinking, oh, this is great. No, yeah, not a good idea. Oh, there was a good question here from Alex. SteveO, still liking that crazy soap. Have you tried it long term without adding lubricant to your solution? Yes, I still love it. I've been using it since October consistently. I haven't used anything else with any other additives. I will add in High Slide this summer for jobs, but I have really liked it, and I've seen like in my own windows at my house, they don't get as hazy as quickly as with Dawn. So like there is something in there.
Windows at your house?
Yeah, I do. I keep them good. Now I put everything that Xero Pure pack, 10 minutes on the outside, 5 minutes inside, done. Wagtail High Flyer on the inside. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wagtail. Sorry.
The High Flyers are nice, man. The High Flyers are nice. It's like really the only Wagtail that I dig. I don't really use them on like any route work or anything like that, but
do you ever see those like TikToks and things where the kid like drinks orange juice and they're like, "Oh, is it good?" And he's like, that's every time somebody mentions Wagtail, that's what I do. I go, yeah.
Well, this is gonna be our last show.
1980s vacuum cleaner parts called and they want their plastic back.
I love how the rubber's held in. It's just like someone has taken like a flathead and then hit the channel.
Do you remember like the screw? There was literally like there's like screwing in a screw. They're like, done.
Yep. There's that. But people always message us like, my High Flyer came dented. Nope, that's the way it was designed.
Perfect. It's in sorbos though too. We get that with sorbos and like, yeah, everything came great, but I have this dent, and it's like, it's a tool. Why are you cared about scratches and dents, you noob? But and then like the notch is a perfectly like the post office when they screw stuff up, they screw stuff up. Like they bend ladders. We ship ladders and they bend ladders. How is that possible?
I don't know. Hey, my camera, I don't know why my camera looks bad tonight. It's actually a pretty good camera. Usually I've gotten many comments.
It's on right now. You're like really crystal clear. Now that we have like 30 seconds left.
Oh yeah. And the bars of the Wi-Fi are all high, but they were low when we first started. So yeah, sorry guys. Well, anyways, that takes us to the final seconds of the show. Thank you all for coming. I don't think we have any breaks coming up like at all. So we should be here every other Monday. So I thank you guys for all joining. I will be announcing my giveaway winner tomorrow morning for putting an order in with me in the month of March, just in case any of you guys are wondering. And gosh, usually the show just ends here. There's usually nothing else to say. Did you have anything? Do you have anything you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't yet, get yourself a subscription to the American Window Cleaner magazine and get some super awesome stickers if you haven't yet. And yeah, shameless plug for Steve. We're reps for windowcleaner.com. So if you need anything, that's literally how I forward hair gel. So let us know.
Yes, it is the time of year to get everything ordered, to get stocked up. I mean, like literally April is the last month before craziness. It really is. Or it could already be insane. So
yeah.
If you guys have watched tonight, you've enjoyed, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe. Thank you for 30,000 subscribers. That was awesome. It was very, very cool. And we will see you next time. Peace.